I don't think most of us can see beyond our own cul-de-sac. And I
Mm.
would dare to say with you too.
Yeah.
I know you're getting coaching. I know you're
Mhm.
surrounding yourself with people that have skill sets you don't have and even vision that's bigger than yours. Regardless of what container we're in, somebody has a bigger vision than what we currently have.
Introducing the Poet Life Podcast. Go check it out today on your favorite platforms, including iTunes, Apple Music, and the website, thepoetlife.com.
Find a way, find a way.
Hey, I am Christoph Jenkins of the Poet Life Podcast, and I am always excited, but I'm super excited today because we're doing something new. We're doing something new. I'm sure you're familiar with this gentleman here. His name is Sean Smith, the coach of all coaches, and he's on again today because, like I said, we're doing something new. We are adding and expanding and growing the podcast to where Sean and I are just going to have really good conversations about the poetry industry, the behind the scenes, the future of it, the past, the history, and we're going to start with where he and I originated. Sean, what's up, man?
What's up, man? I am like thoroughly enthused, right? The excited is a little surface level for how deeply enthusiastic I am about this being back with you, these conversations. But what poetry means, I mean, I'm a new poet, right? We can talk a little bit about that if you want, but there's just something about poetry that is so sacred, and where we're going to take these conversations is really meaningful to me. And so I'm honored to be here, and let's see where this goes.
Yeah. So origin, right? So off air, we were trying to look at the calendar, and it was like, what year was that? This was 2020, and right now it's 2022, so almost 3 years. So 2020, when roundabout when COVID started, we connected by okay. So this is where we'll start. So I saw a graphic. I'm not sure who shared it, but it was a graphic about a spoken word movie called Let's Grow. And I saw Lisa Nichols on the graphic, the public speaker, the generational, life changer person that she is. And I said, a spoken word movie. And, with me thinking of all of these different ways to do poetry, I was like, oh, that's next level. That's next level right there. Now, strategy. I knew, and I still know, that Lisa Nichols is gigantic, right? Like, she's status wise, she's there. And if I message her, she'll probably won't see it, or I'm just another person, And so I said, okay, all right, who's around her? Who else is on that cast that may not be as high, status wise and all of that, that I could connect myself with? Who's on Facebook, who's on Instagram, and okay, who's the supporting cast? Like, who's in that mix? And I saw Sean Smith and I saw David Bianchi. I didn't recognize the names, but I did the research. But I was like, man, but they're still okay. All right. Should I just nod, or let me shoot my shot?
Yes.
Let me shoot my shot. And it's so key because you never know what can and will happen. And lo and behold, Sean responded and David responded. And so the other piece to that, though, you have to have something to offer.
Yeah.
You can't just say, give me, give me, give me.
That's right.
That's so key.
Yeah. I just pulled up the email as you were going through the story.
Really?
It's November 17th. Wow. Yep. Get the email. And yeah, it's an invitation to this podcast, the Poet Life podcast, but it's also appreciation. And, what it says right here, we champion poetry and spoken word by uplifting the poetry community. And we want to have you as a guest so that we can help support your movie. And so it was different than just take. And especially somebody like Lisa, David has risen through the ranks in the Hollywood community. And there's a lot of people that are just pulling on coattails, just let me have a piece of you. Let me have a piece of you rather than let me give a piece to you. Let me give something for you. I have a platform and I want to use my platform or my assets to support you. And that's a real key piece that you just opened up there, to like when you reach out, speaking of shooting your shot, when you reach out to somebody, I'm nowhere near Lisa Nichols' status or David Bianchi's status, but I've developed a pretty big following in the coaching industry. And so a lot of people reach out to me, and there's a difference between people that just want to reach out and touch something or give me something for free. And then people that I can feel like have a substance. And one of the key indicators that's an immediate yes or an immediate no is, do they know me? And do they know my community? And I can tell right away the people who are just copy and paste, hey, let me teach you how to get a bunch of clients, or I've got this thing that you really need, or whatever. And so many times, if I'm in the mood to email back or respond back, it'd be like, man, who am I? First, tell me who I am, right? And I can just tell immediately. So shooting your shot, if you want to reach out to people, and I know poets and people that are just vulnerable about, what it is that we do in the world, it's actually harder to pitch ourselves.
Yeah.
So first of all, I congratulate any of you that actually feel a certain way about throwing yourself out there, because it means what you're doing matters to you. Yep. And it means what you're offering is actually something sacred to you. So that makes it harder for me and for a lot of people to shoot your shot.
Yeah.
One of the things I can say, just to highlight what you just said, Christoph, is you got to know about the person that you are reaching out to. Know who they are, what they care about, what their community needs, and reach out in advocacy. Don't just reach out in taking.
It's the same as a job.
Yeah.
If you're interviewing for a job and you don't know anything about the company, what are you there for?
Right.
And I remember when I was younger, I was in that position when I was asked that question, have you looked at our website? And, just being young and naive and, no, I didn't, just wanted a job, but no, I was never taught to show interest in the future of the company.
Yeah.
Right. And so in this case, I didn't just want to be put on, right? I wanted the movie to win. Not to say it would lose, but I saw this is what I saw. I saw the direction, because I saw the caption, this was a love project. And now that it's coming off so well, we wanted to kind of pitch it to, the execs and stuff like that. And I was like, I think I have something that I can add value to them, and what I saw was, this needs to go through the people,
man.
And
I can speak from this side of the aisle. That was such a unique pitch, if you will. You weren't necessarily, pitching,
right,
but you were wanting to contribute.
Yeah.
And immediately, I and then Lisa and David, we all saw something different, because you were offering a way to do something unique. And immediately, like you said, we were thinking a certain route, and you were like, no, we got to go this route, right? You don't have to stop doing that, but you better add this.
Yeah.
And it was giving value for sure, but there was like, we're on the same team, you know, we're shared. We want to, we care about the same things.
Yeah.
So I can't say enough about, you know, how you reached out. I'm glad you're dissecting it here.
Yeah, no, it's and I'm glad that we have the opportunity now, because I've always thought about that. I've always thought about how that all went down. Like, I reached out to you, and I reached out to David Bianchi, and you know, and we were talking in Facebook Messenger, you and I didn't ask for Lisa Nichols, didn't ask for her. I asked to have a conversation with you on the podcast. You understand? So I wanted to know who you were, and how you got in that position, and what was the thought pattern behind the movie, all of that. And then you said at the end of the episode, man, I need to link you up with Lisa Nichols.
Yeah, I was fired up.
You see what I'm saying? So, but what's the opposite of genuine? Is it non-genuine?
Yeah, non-genuine or
what they understand.
Yeah.
Non-genuine people would, hey Sean, do you think you could link me up with Lisa Nichols?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I did have a lot of those requests.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, he's connected to Lisa Nichols? What? Man, let me hit him up real quick. We went to high school together. We went to college together.
Right. Let me touch her. Can you get a phone call with me and Lisa?
It's so evident and clear what you're doing. You know, and you being the, you know, in this instance, the gatekeeper to her, you know, in our eyes, can see it clear as day. You know, so lead with your offer. And that's why I always say ownership is so key. Like,
and you know, a piece underneath that's really critical is you have to have something that you value. So you've been in this game of poetry. You've been a leader in the poetry community for a long, long time. You've seen poetry work at some of the highest levels. You've seen people get paid. You saw the uniqueness in this movie.
Yeah.
And you recognize the value that you could bring to the table.
Right.
And I think one of the things that shuts most people down, and I would imagine in the poetry community, absolutely the same as in, you know, the coaching community or just anybody that really has this sacred work, is that it's hard for us to value that work, either because it comes easy to us. Maybe it's really difficult for us to value things that come easy, or the opposite. Like, I put a whole lot of time. I might spend days or weeks, you know, writing a poem. Let's say this is what I do now. And then when that poem is done, like, you know, when I think about putting it out there, even just writing an email about it or posting it on social media or something, it literally takes my breath away. And it's really hard for us to value the thing that we create. And if you don't value it, then it's going to be really difficult to shoot your shot and then offer advocacy like we're talking about.
Right.
Because you don't really value the ownership that you can bring to the table. And I think, based on some of our conversations in the past, I think that's a real big missing piece in the poetry community.
It's time to create an unforgettable experience at your next event with The Poet Life by booking a keynote poet. Poets excite your audience with motivating messages, charismatic delivery, colorful rhythm, powerful prose, and heart-filled stories with a style of spoken word that's tailored specifically to your event. The Poet Life has keynote poets in your city of all ages and backgrounds.
Visit thepoetlife.com to learn more and book your poet today. Yeah, you know, the reason for that is because, let's take a poem, right? Write a poem. Most people or most poets will see that they have a poem. And that's the extent of it.
Yeah.
When I see a poem, I see more than a poem. I see a workshop. I see a speech, a TED
Yep.
talk. I see a summer camp. I see an after school program, a curriculum, all from that one poem.
Yeah.
And if you only see a poem, how do you see the vastness of worth?
Yeah.
It's not just the inspiration and the word play and the poetic writing. It's so much more than that. So when you see all of those 5, 6, 7 things that I've just named right off the bat, then you start to think, oh, this church could use this. This
Yes.
organization, this cause could use this to further their mission, their vision. This is valuable.
That's such a huge
When I break
point.
that down to poets, they're like,
Mind blowing.
this is what I have. This is what I just created.
Yeah. The visual that I just got is we see our poem just like a cul-de-sac, it's like a dead end. Like right here, this is where it all stops. And you see the poem as an on-ramp to a freeway. And there's so many
Ooh.
possibilities on that freeway.
Goodness gracious, man. I just left. I had 2 in-person meetings, and I haven't had in-person meetings in a long time, just, because of COVID, right? It was
Right.
all Zooms. And so it was so refreshing for the first meeting on Monday to have to jump in a Uber and ride to DC to a meeting, and you haven't done that in 2-3 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and to go into the meeting and put it on.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
And so, example, this organization, is like tobacco control. Menthol is bad and all, right? The point of contact, we connected through fighting cancer with poetry 10 years ago.
Wow.
He came to one of my events 10 years ago, 2012. 10 years later, he reaches out on Facebook Messenger and says, hey, I don't know if you're still doing this. And I said, man, it's so many lanes we can go, but we won't stay here. And he says, well, I'm working with this organization and we want to get our message out locally. Our conference will be in DC in September, and we want to put a poetry jam on. We want to get unique and creative with our message. I said, cool. They want to put a poetry slam on where it's a competition, and they're giving 3 prizes, $250, $500, and $750. I said, okay, oh, that's sweet, right?
Yeah.
Have the meeting, and they want to know more of how we can make that happen for them. I said, okay, I love the idea, but what's the end game?
Yeah.
Same thing I did with you, I was doing with them. What's the end game? Is it that you want to get your message out there and you're going from local locations, and doing that, right? Or are you ultimately trying to make this a national thing, but you're thinking local first?
Yeah.
And it's just like, I haven't really thought of it like that. I was like, so let me share with you. If you're trying to go national, then how about we utilize the internet? And you see all of these challenges and ALS challenge, everybody's dumping water on each other's heads, but the message is getting out there, right? What if we do what I did with America's Got Talent, where they called us to say, hey, can you do the same thing that you did with Brandon Leake and corral poets around the world, actually, because it was international. Poets were sending in videos, 1 minute videos saying congratulations to Brandon Leak.
Yeah.
So I said, let's do something similar to that and straight out the gate have it go national.
Yeah.
And they were like, man, that is so big picture. And so watch this. They're interested in still doing the event. So I was able to close that deal. But now after the event, they also want to do the national campaign thing all year round and bring me on as a contractor.
That's huge, man. Like the vision of that, you know, and for you to ask the questions that they couldn't see in their little cul-de-sac, right? And for you to ask the questions and then bring some potential solutions, that's everything. And I don't think I don't think most of us can see beyond our own cul-de-sac. And I would dare to say with you too.
Yeah.
You know, I know you're getting coaching. I know you're surrounding yourself with people that have skill sets you don't have and even vision that's bigger than yours. You know, regardless of what container we're in, somebody has a bigger vision than what we currently have. Right. And that's a great story of, I had goosebumps. I still got goosebumps all over, man. That's a great story of taking somebody's idea that's this big and then multiplying it. Right. And man, that is so good.
Yeah.
And poetry is so unique. I think one of the things that I want poets to understand is that most people don't believe they can write poetry or they can be profound. So I think poets, especially people that have been, you know, basement poets for the longest time, and I say that with all the respect and admiration in the world, right?
Yeah.
You've been writing poetry in your journal, you've been keeping it a secret or just sharing it, you know, here and there, maybe some open mic nights, maybe on Instagram or something, but not really taking it commercial. You actually have more value than you could comprehend. And a lot of those people that do have the big commercial platforms, they value the stuff that they can't produce themselves. And so to add a poetic piece and just the way the poet's mind works, to add that piece, man, I hope everybody listening to this and everybody that's in your space, Christoph, recognizes that you have a unique ingredient, one of the most unique ingredients literally out there. And when you add that to somebody else's recipe, there's no, I mean, it's unfathomable how big that can get.
Yeah. And the other person, the other entity has resources.
Right.
We're reading in the Poetry Business Network, where it's a membership community where we meet every Tuesday at 9:00 Eastern Standard Time, and we help each other build each other's mindsets and brands. But it's also a book club as well. And our first book is Start Something That Matters.
Oh, I love that.
Start something that matters. When you start something that matters, people are attracted to it. You all started something that mattered, and I was attracted to it. When I started fighting cancer with poetry, I read this book then and started fighting cancer with poetry. And so I was like, oh, I have to go back to this book because this is where it all started. Dude, just real quick. I'm going to read you the not the book. I'm going to read the chapters, the chapter titles. The chapter titles. All right. Obviously, the chapter 1 is the Tom's story, right? But chapter 2 is find your story. If you don't know your story, you don't know your vision. You don't know your purpose. You have to find your story first, because what is marketing? It's about stories. And so you can't sell yourself. You can't sell your product. You can't sell without a story. So find your story, then face your fears. Like, what's hindering you from going to the next level? Like, and we were supposed to stay on these chapters like 1 week, one session. We stayed on Face Your Fears for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's such a deep topic.
Because that's what's holding you back. That's what was holding me back from being in this position as a host on the podcast.
Yeah.
Didn't want to do it. I was afraid of the comments on YouTube. I'm afraid of fame. I'm not interested in it because I know what comes with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Look, watch this. Chapter 4. Be resourceful without resources. Everybody, I don't have no money, so I can't.
So profound.
I'm not surrounded by, so I can't. I don't have the resources. Bro.
Be resourceful.
Without resources. That means, what does that mean? Start by using your creativity.
We at The Poet Life are excited to invite you to be a part of something that we've all been longing for. For far too long, each and every one of us have been searching for a way to get connected with like-minded people, specifically poets who have the desire to make poetry their career. We've all heard more than once from more than one person that there is no money in poetry. This couldn't be further from the truth. Your poetry is invaluable. Allow us to show you how successful you can be with your poetry. Learn how you can go from being an individual poet to launching a business that offers poetry as a service. Join us as we build the poetry industry together. The Poetry Business Network, that is made of poets from all over the world who are looking to start their career in the poetry industry, or simply do more with their poetry. We will meet twice a week on a Zoom call every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You will have the opportunity to meet and network with poets from all walks of life. You will also have the privilege of meeting and learning from the best professional poets in the world. Many of them have been guests on the Poet Life podcast. We have also incorporated a book club where we read personal development books to help us change our mindset. In order for us to realize our greatness as professional poets, we must renew our minds. So, for just $1, you can check out the Poetry Business Network to see if you like it. We are confident that you will. If you choose to become a member after the first week, membership will be $79 a month. But if for whatever reason you don't, you can cancel at any time. There is no obligation. So, make the investment of just $1 and change the way you see and pursue poetry. We hope you become a part of the Poetry Business Network. Together, we can build the poetry industry.
That's the word. I was just about to say that. It's creative, and poets are uniquely creative. When you create something that doesn't already exist, that's creativity, right? And if you think about the line of creativity starts with, I don't know and I don't have. That's where creativity starts. So when you bump up against that line, I don't know and I don't have, awesome. That's when creativity kicks in, and you are uniquely qualified as a poet to create something that doesn't currently exist. That's so good.
You're a creative.
Right.
That's what we do. We create. You created that poem out of nothing. And you have to know that's not the extent of what you can create. Stop just limiting yourself to, I'm a poet. No, you're a songwriter. No, you're a speechwriter. No, you're a copywriter. You're a playwright.
Yeah, you're a
someone
poetic.
that's great with words.
Man, I think that's like, I am a poet. The connotation of a poet has boundaries that I think most of us feel like, okay, a poet writes poems. But I think what's so powerful about what you're talking about here is you're not a poet. You're a poetic leader. You use poetry to transform. Poetry is your tool, but where that can go is so much bigger than just the boundaries of being a poet. I think that mind shift is so big because we have to increase our identities in order to take the steps that are possible. Most of our identities and the fears that are wrapping around those identities is why we don't take those shots.
Dude, a poet is a translator, which means you're a liaison between someone who's stuck and about to give it all up.
Yes.
And they don't know how to articulate how they're feeling, or they don't want to talk, but they don't know that they can write. Bro.
Man.
The other one, the next chapter is keep it simple. We complicate things.
Yeah.
We overthink, overwhelm ourselves. And creatives, we're naturals for that because we have so many ideas. We're working on something, and then that new idea that raced across our brain, we catch it, we leave that thing that we're working on, and on to the new shiny idea. I'm speaking from experience.
Curse, yeah. Oh, me too. It's a gift and a curse.
Gift and a curse. And then when we're working on something, building something, we wonder why our friends and family don't jump and support us. They know us.
I was just given this talk yesterday, and I said, your creations are not for the people in the front row. They're for the people in the back that you can't even see right now. And a lot of times when we bring it with our our creations, our creativity, our poems, our ideas, the effect of that is, and no disrespect to the people in the front row, they're not our enemies or adversaries at all, but our creations are usually not for them. They're not the ones that are going to pull out the banners and the pom-poms and start cheerleading. Not because they don't want you to win. It's just that your words are not for them.
But
most of the time.
I got another angle for you, Sean. I got another angle. If you're the headliner at a concert, right? And in a concert, it's going crazy. It's an amazing concert. And it's one of those concerts where it's super lit and you got a bottle of water.
Yeah.
And you want to get everybody wet. You wouldn't throw it to the front row. They're going to get wet regardless. Throw it as far as you can, and all of the droplets will catch everybody in the crowd. The front row is going to see.
That's so good.
Oh.
That is so good.
They're going to get wet regardless. So you might as well throw that water as far as you can to try to get the folks in the back wet.
And that speaks to the need for vision also, because if you're just trying to throw the water to the people in the front row, you can just dabble it out, right? You could just, not even use hardly anything and just sprinkle it at them, right? If you're hitting the folks in the back, man, you got to wind up. You have to take a few steps, right? And you're going to have to launch that thing, which means it's going to bring more out of you, and your commitment is what's going to get the entire audience dripping wet. But when we just sheepishly, throw it out here, and then we do it apologetically, don't we? It's like, do you like my poem? Do you like my poem? Do you like my poem? Will you approve of me? And that's not what's ever going to reach those folks in the back. And they're the ones that your message is for anyway.
Yeah, because the ones in the back, they're trying to get to the front.
Right.
The ones in the front have privilege. And you know about privilege. They feel like they're supposed to get it.
Right. So they won't even appreciate it as much.
The people in the back are hungry.
Mm-hmm.
They're ready to push everybody down to get to the front gate.
Man, this is something to really open up deeply, and maybe we do it at another time. But I think one of the components to really understand there is that a lot of times the people that are closest to us are threatened by our truth. And sometimes it means they don't want people to, to start telling secrets, or sometimes it's just kind of that fish in the, or not fish, but crabs in a barrel kind of idea, where they might secretly want to be a poet, or they might secretly want to go after a dream. And when they see their brother or their sister or their best friend doing the thing that they want to do, it's really hard for people to celebrate somebody that's doing something that they secretly want to, but their fears are shutting them down. A lot of times it has nothing to do with us. It has to do with their own insecurities. And what they're threatened by. Yeah, man.
And oh man, what's unfortunate is most times their insecurities will see your confidence and name it what? Arrogance.
Arrogant, man. We could have said that at the exact same time. Yep. Arrogance. Who you think you are?
You think you know everything.
Yeah. You think you're better than us?
I said, I want all of you to win. Like, and genuinely meant it. And one person said, "Are you saying that we're losing?" I said, okay, now it's time for me to just be quiet, because nothing I'm going to say is going to come off positive.
Poet Life University welcomes you to the world of creation, thoughts, expertise, and professionalism by offering technical knowledge, practical support, creative encouragement, and whatever it takes for you to create the poetry career that you've always desired, but never knew was possible. And the best part is we have professional poets from around the world as professors to teach you everything they've learned throughout their poetry careers. We are currently offering several 8-week live courses that will help you gain a deep understanding of poetry, become confident in your work as a poet and writer, learn how to start your own business with the help of an expert, enjoy the freedom that comes from being able to pursue what you love on your terms. Are you ready to take your poetry to the next level? Learn with others by doing for the future from the comfort of your home. Get in touch with us at www.poetlifeuniversity.com and enroll today.
At that point, yeah, you just unplug. We'll catch you tomorrow, right?
I was like, what? How did you get that?
Right. That's the thing, is the brain can take anything and distort it into whatever it wants to hear, or whatever it's afraid to hear.
Yeah, and so it's so hurtful to the person that is trying, and the person is trying to be confident. They don't even know the prayers for confidence, because it takes another level of confidence to step into your greatness.
Yeah.
Regular confidence, stick my chest out, bro. When I tell you, and you stepped into your greatness, right? And you still are, right? It takes an abnormal amount of confidence, a level of confidence, to really walk in your greatness.
Yeah, I like dissecting the difference between confidence and certainty. Confidence is an intellectual construct, and confidence is usually based on the idea that we won't fail. So what most of us are trying to find confidence in is success, meaning if I share this poem, everybody's going to like it. If I try to make money, it's going to work right away. Anything that I try to do, if I try to speak on a stage, everybody's going to like it. I'm going to remember all my lines. They're going to love all my jokes, right? We tend to try to seek confidence in the idea that we won't fail. Yet that is just an impossibility. Any road you take will never, ever look like that. The most powerful poem in the world, not everybody's going to like. It's going to trigger negative things in some people. You throw it out on YouTube and some people are going to, shoot their arrows at you. It's literally impossible to satisfy what the intellect wants from this idea of confidence. But certainty is about knowing that even when the road doesn't look the way you hope it looks, even when everybody doesn't like your sacred creation, it won't stop you. You'll keep going. Certainty is about resiliency in the face of adversity. Confidence is about trying to avoid adversity.
Wow.
Certainty says, through the adversity, I will rise. I will continue. I'll keep taking a step. And here's the cool thing, man. When you have certainty, now you also have confidence. But when you only have confidence, you'll never build certainty. It's a different game. And the more sacred your creation, the more necessary certainty is.
Man, this is so good. So for everybody listening and watching, I was, I love having guests on. Don't get me wrong. I love having guests on to get their story and their reason for why they started what they started that matters, and how they did it and all of that. But I thought, I would love to just like have conversation about the poetry industry and just poetry in general, and let us like go at different topics, and so letting you all know that's what this is. So you'll be seeing my now co-host in this regard, Sean Smith. And if you can,
that's an honor, man. I appreciate you giving me that label, man. That just filled me up.
But it came from our many conversations.
Yeah.
And that's how our conversations are, just like this here. And I was like, what are we doing? Like, hold on. Why aren't we formalizing this here? Because this is good.
It matters.
We are literally starting something that matters. Yeah. And I'm excited about the feedback and the potential feedback. Yeah. And man, I have a coaching client in just a minute, and Sean, Coach Sean has something after this as well. So we're not going to stay on long. We're going to hop off in just a second, but I'm sure that you all can tell where this is going to go.
Let me just add something real quick, because what I would love to hear is reactions, questions, what landed for you. So if I could take a moment, to tell people who I am and what I've done and what my area of expertise is. I've been a coach for 17 years. And so I've really built a lot of muscles around helping people overcome their internal fears, right? You mentioned fears earlier. I mean, we could just deep dive so long around fears. And that's what I can hopefully bring and contribute to a lot of your journeys, is what are the things that shut us down internally? And there's a huge misunderstanding, I think, in almost all of personal development or any kind of entrepreneurial endeavor or anything that requires evolution as a human. There's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of misunderstandings. And one of the biggest ones is that in order to build something, in order to succeed, you got to get rid of your fears. And you don't. You can't actually get rid of your fears, but there are ways to navigate. There are ways to understand how the fear is showing up and what it's trying to protect us from, and then tap into something that's actually bigger than your fears. And you, Christoph, with this podcast, with so many different things that you've shared, I know with your listeners and shared with me, you didn't get rid of all the fears. You just acted in spite of it, right? We can't get rid of our fears. We just need to put it in the co-pilot seat, right? Our fears are actually something that makes us powerful if we use them properly. And if we learn how to dance with them, if we learn how to appreciate them, it's going to make our poetry more powerful. It's going to make our message more powerful. It'll make our leadership more powerful if we know how to embrace them and be fueled by our fear. So that's just one little piece. But any of you out there that's, bumping up against the mirror, bumping up against fears, bumping up against how do I do this, whether it's strategy related or mindset related, man, that's what we want you to bring to this conversation. We want this to be a dialogue, not just, a co-monologue between the two of us. And let's be real and let's be honest and let's get more of your poetry out into the world. Because if there was ever a time that poets are needed more, it's now in the world right now. So bring all of the challenges, and that's what we're going to put our heads together and unlock your creativity and unleash you as a poetic entrepreneur.
Ooh, that's so good. That's so good. And we're, like you said, we're going to incorporate your questions and your comments into these conversations. So please give us your voice, and we're going to amplify it to the back of the stands, the audience. All right. Listen, it's
right
the Poet Life Podcast. I am Christoph Jenkins. This is Coach Sean. Look him up on YouTube. Trust me, if you need some information and some inspiration and some instruction on how to explain for me.
There's going to be a lot of overlap. So as I said, for 17 years, I've been in the coaching industry. A lot of my content on YouTube specifically, and a lot of places in social media, is speaking directly to coaches. So a lot of the details are people that want to be coaches, but underneath the details is the human journey. What causes coaches to be afraid of putting their coaching out there is the same thing that causes poets to be afraid of putting their poetry out there. So underneath the details is the human journey. And there's so much depth to this. But what you said earlier is it's actually all simple. Like, this journey is really simple, but hard. It's simple to do the work, but it's emotionally hard for most of us because of all the relationships that we have to fear and judgment and feedback and what if they don't like it and all of that stuff. And that's what we want to help you navigate through.
I love it. Listen, I'm not even going to give the whole close out. It's the Poet Life Podcast. You all know what it is. Go to thepoetlife.com. Check out everything that we got going on. If you want to be on our other show, Rocking the Poet Life, go to poetlifegear.com and get some gear. You automatically then become a guest on the show. All right. Listen, I appreciate you all. Sean, thank you so much. I look forward to continuing this conversation. And folks, we're out.
Let's get it.